We met before school started this year.
I wanted you to know that this started before Aria was assigned to my class.
What started?
Wait, what do you mean before she was assigned to your class?
She wasn't my student then.
She wasn't your student then?
This can't be true. It is. Really. I love him.
Hey guys, how's it going? A lot happened in Pretty Little Liars. I want to zero down into what happened with Ezra and Aria Montgomery. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but what went down with this girl and her parents and how it impacted her relationship with Ezra. I definitely think they had a lot to do with what happened. A lot of us think that what happened wasn't necessarily ideal, but I also think that a lot could have been done differently, right? Because this is a valid situation. Like, this is something that could happen to any teenage girl. She was a teenager, probably dealing with hormones and stuff, and, her emotions being all over the place. But I think that there are different things that her parents could have done about the situation. Like, this is just from me watching and low-key judging. Okay, I take that back, not really. But like, this is just me observing like how the parents handled a really valid situation and how I feel they could have done it differently. So the first thing I definitely think is that they should have, sat her down, try to understand what she actually sees in this person. And the reason why is because she was not just a kid. She was kind of a kid, but she was also a teenager. So she had begun to have a mindset of her own. So I feel like they could have, genuinely tried to understand what is drawing her to this man, what the attraction is essentially. Obviously, I don't think it was appropriate for Aria to be dating anyone that was that age. I don't even think it was appropriate for her to be dating because she was 16, which I feel is too young. I personally believe in dating with purpose, dating towards marriage. And this was clearly not that. She was a minor, right? So I don't think she should have been dating in the first place. But what made this difference was that she was a minor and he was an adult. That alone should have disqualified everything. But I think that, instead of just yelling and freaking out, her parents should have also tried to explain to her that these feelings were not abnormal, right? And they just needed to be handled the right way and directed at the right kind of person and in the right setting. They could have taken this opportunity to read between the lines, because in this case, Aria wasn't just crushing on her teacher out of nowhere. She had experienced something traumatic with her friend. She had just got her dad cheating, which the mom did not know initially, by the way. And emotionally, she was kind of dealing with a lot. So at that point, it felt like Ezra just came in and was kind of offering the comfort and validation that she was missing at home. And I think that if they had sat down to have a conversation with her, they would have kind of seen what she was getting from this man, so to speak, and found a way around offering something better as her parents, if that makes sense. A couple of people might consider this gentle parenting, whatever, but I think that she was at that point where she wasn't listening to any voice of reason anymore, and she needed someone to really level with her and understand where she was coming from. The second thing I definitely think is that Brian, her dad, needed to take more responsibility. Listen, Brian was caught cheating. He was caught by his own daughter. People make mistakes, people stumble. And that part unfortunately happened. But the real issue was what he did after he was caught. Now, instead of taking, that as a wake-up call and working to rebuild the trust in his home, I think that Brian just continued the relationship I've already been caught. Like, I literally can't get worse than this. That's how it felt. And at that point, I feel like it should have been a moment for him to step back, get better, and do better, even if it's just for his wife and his daughter. Now, as a parent, he obviously had a responsibility not just to apologize, but to step back, and get help, model what it looks like to be accountable, and show some integrity. I mean, you can't expect your child to be doing the right thing when you're actively doing the wrong thing in front of the child. Third thing I think is that, and I'm just going to say this out, like, I don't care what anyone thinks, but Ezra should have been fired, and I'm not mincing words here. It was 100% the responsibility of Aria's parents to make sure that Ezra was fired from the school. Reported, fired, whatever needed to happen to get that man out should have been what they were focused on. We can definitely excuse Aria, right? And be like, she was a teenage girl with raging hormones. She may have started to develop feelings, and that's not new, right? That's what is strange is a grown man, a teacher entertaining and pursuing a relationship with a minor even after warnings, right? This man had no regrets. He wasn't even trying to stay away from the situation. Like, I mean, if you can't control yourself, why not leave the school? Why not go to another school? Find another job? Remove yourself from the situation? But no, he stayed because he wasn't like, I guess he wasn't scared of anything. And the writers made it look like, it was a situation where he was kind of caught between the devil and the blue sea. He wasn't. He put her at risk. He also put his own career at risk, which he probably didn't really care much for, because I feel like anybody that really cared that deeply about their career wouldn't behave in this kind of manner, right? And Aria's parents had a duty to kind of draw that boundary for her and make sure that he was no longer in, her academic or emotional space. The next thing I definitely think impacted Aria to some degree is their marriage drama. Now, I mean, every couple has like marriage issues and problems that they deal with, but I think that it was definitely no excuse to stop parenting properly. Now, we can't deny that sometimes this drama could seep into like parenting and parenting responsibilities. Like, I would think that anybody that is not, having a great time with their partner could also sometimes be like have a lapse in judgment or not be performing well even as a parent, right? We can't ignore the fact that Ella and Brian were going through stuff, right, in their marriage, and it's affected the way they showed up as parents. But really, if we're being honest, it's not an excuse. I think that the moment you have a child, you have a responsibility, and it doesn't just disappear when things get stressful. Sometimes, obviously, you have to fake it for a few hours in a day. You have to probably give more than pour out of an empty cup, so to speak. But it is important that that child needs to feel like safe and supported. And I mean, it's kind of like you're getting to a job that you hate, right? I know this is not a very good analogy, but you still have to show up, right? Because there are people depending on you, on like work, right? Parenting doesn't come with like a paid time off, so you don't just get to clock out. And yeah, like they definitely didn't need to be perfect parents, but they absolutely needed to be present in the life of Aria. And I think they might have dropped the ball on that a little bit. So yeah, they are like, these are kind of the main ways that I believe that Aria's parents could have handled things differently. I just talk about this because the show really romanticized the relationship and made people root for this relationship, right? And it is not necessarily a far-fetched situation. These things happen. It could easily just be like a teenage boy catching feelings for a female teacher. It doesn't mean that the kid is weird, but there needs to be a system in place where your child can come to you, be heard, and be preserved, protected, and guided back in the right direction. And I definitely think that that was what was missing here with Aria and her parents. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys thought about it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.